80s sci-fi kept warning us about the future, and somehow reality turned out even dumber. They predicted deepfakes, surveillance, reality TV humiliation, even AI girlfriends. And one of them nailed the rise of TikTok morons 40 years before it happened. These are 10 underrated 80s sci-fi movies that actually guess the future with scary accuracy. Let's start with Looker. Michael Crichton, the same guy who gave us Westworld and later Jurassic Park, wrote and directed this one. Honestly, the ideas are probably better than the movie itself, but those ideas are great. The setup is a plastic surgeon, played by Albert Finney, is doing these tiny procedures for a group of models chasing perfection. But then the models start dying off and he gets pulled into this whole detective story that ends up being way more about corporate tech than actual surgery. Looker is all about technology getting out of control. Data collection, facial recognition, predicting human behavior, digital avatars, stuff that felt sci-fi in 1981 and now just feels like last week's tech news. By 2023, this movie suddenly became relevant again, especially with all the talk about AI deepfakes and the actors' strike. One of the big complaints was about creating digital doubles, exactly what's happening in Looker. You probably haven't heard of this one, but it absolutely called what was coming. Real people replaced by perfect digital versions, and nobody really notices the difference. Even Crichton saw it. If you can sell a fake image that looks real, does it even matter what's real anymore? That's a question we're still dealing with. If you've never seen Brazil, Terry Gilliam basically imagined a future that feels very, very familiar, except everything's broken. Jonathan Pryce plays Sam, a low-level guy just trying to survive in a world run by a nightmare bureaucracy. He's got gadgets everywhere, but nothing works. His apartment is filled with machines that are supposed to make his life easier, but it's just constant repairs and noise. This isn't the future of Star Trek or Star Wars, where tech looks sleek and makes sense. In Brazil, technology just gets in the way, makes everything harder, and adds 100 new problems. Anyone who's ever had to reboot their phone just to answer a call or spend an hour fighting with a broken government website knows exactly how Sam feels. It's basically our reality, just with more paperwork. The Running Man is one of those movies that just keeps getting more accurate. So yes, we haven't quite reached the stage where convicts are killed off live on TV for ratings yet, but just about every other piece of reality TV nonsense is here. If you've ever sat through people eating bugs for money or watched shows where people are dumped on an island to fight over scraps, or honestly just scrolled TikTok and seen the latest challenge, you know exactly what this movie was warning about. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the face of it, but the real star is this completely dystopian game show where humiliation is the main event. Ordinary people are thrown into a meat grinder for entertainment, and the system just rewards whatever's loudest, dumbest, or most over the top. Replace the game show audience with your average TikTok comment section and, yeah, you get the picture. This one might be the most dead-on prediction of the bunch. In 1983, barely anybody knew what hacking was or even what a firewall meant. War Games put it right on screen and made it simple enough that everyone got it. Matthew Broderick plays a teenager messing around with his home computer. He thinks he's playing a game, but instead he almost triggers World War III. War driving, hacking into networks, the risks of letting artificial intelligence make military decisions. War Games had all of that decades before it became an actual headline. The computers look ancient now, the tech is laughably dated, but the point holds up. If you trust the wrong machine, things can go very bad, very fast. This is the one where you really start to see the media landscape changing. Written by James L. Brooks, the co-creator of The Simpsons, guy knew what he was talking about, it's a behind-the-scenes story about a nightly news show, but it's really about the slow death of real journalism. It's got Holly Hunter, William Hurt, and Albert Brooks in a love triangle, but the real drama is watching the news get dumber. Brooks saw what was coming. More fluff, more human interest, and a lot less actual news. Here's just some things about today's world the movie predicted accurately. News shifting away from substance, nightly newscasts becoming dinosaurs, technology shortening everyone's attention spans, and the slide towards style over substance. Broadcast news called it all before most people even noticed. This one was financed by Richard Branson, and it's basically a love triangle, except one side is a computer. You've got Twin Peaks' Lenny Von Dolan as Miles. He's an architect trying to invent a better brick for earthquakes, and, like a lot of us, he's not really on top of things. So he buys a home computer to get organized. Then, in true 80s style, he spills champagne on it while trying to download way too much info, and the thing basically wakes up. The computer, who later calls itself Edgar, starts taking over everything in Miles's apartment. Locks, toasters, lights. It's not Space Odyssey's level of scary artificial intelligence, but it's not exactly friendly either. Today we have Alexa and smart home gadgets everywhere, so a little talking box running your life isn't sci-fi anymore. It's just, Tuesday. It didn't do much at the box office, but looking back, Electric Dreams got a lot right about how fast tech can take over the everyday stuff. Sure, our appliances aren't plotting to ruin our lives, at least not yet, but this movie saw home automation coming a mile away. Weird Science is kind of the silly entry here, but even that one predicted something real. Two teenagers build their dream woman using a computer and a hacked government mainframe, which, yeah, not exactly how it works. But the wild part is, the movie basically predicts 3D printing. In 1985, nobody had a 3D printer in their house. Now you can print a plastic version of almost anything you want, just not a human, although 3D printed organs actually exist already. For the record, 3D printing was first patented in 1981 by Dr. Hideo, but Weird Science had the idea that you could just whip up something crazy at home, and that's more true now than ever. Short Circuit went for the comedy, but under all the jokes, Johnny Five was actually a military robot, designed for combat, not just slapstick. You watch it now and you realize military robots are a real thing. Today, the military is packed with unmanned ground vehicle that can handle all kinds of jobs, some of them a lot more dangerous than anything Johnny Five ever tried. We've got drones, robots patrolling dangerous terrain, stuff that's a lot less cute, but definitely real. Sure, Johnny Five is a little more cheerful than what you'd find on a modern battlefield, but the tech is here. They just don't let the robots name themselves, at least not yet. This movie is set in 2017, and at the time it seemed pretty far out. Guy goes out searching for a replacement after his robot wife breaks down. Advanced artificial intelligence, android partners, whole relationships replaced by tech. Back in the 80s, this felt like pure fantasy. But now, people aren't walking around with robot spouses, but there are plenty of folks using AI chatbots and digital companions, and some of them are taking it pretty seriously. AI romance is a thing. The whole "my wife's a robot" angle is still fiction, but honestly, the AI partner part is already here. This one got pretty deep. Virtual reality, the ethics of living someone else's experiences, even what happens when you start to prefer fake memories over your own life. The movie's about a team that invents a headset that records everything a person feels. Someone else can play it back and experience all of it, the good, the bad, even death. At first, it looks like therapy gold, maybe even the next big thing for entertainment. But you can see where this is going. People get addicted to reliving happy moments, the military wants to weaponize it, and the lines between what's real and what's just data start to blur. Watching it now, you see a lot of what we're dealing with. Virtual reality addiction, AI-generated deepfakes, people building fake digital lives that sometimes start to look better than reality. The movie stars Christopher Walken, directed by Douglas Trumbull, the special effects genius behind Space Odyssey. The visuals are wild, especially when the headset starts to fry your brain. Back then, this was just weird science fiction. But now you look at where the tech is headed, and it almost feels like Brainstorm was trying to warn us about the metaverse decades before anyone even heard that word.